Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Vagina Dialogues. I'm just going to wait just a couple of seconds and make sure that we are up and ready to go. I'm really excited to be doing this event inside our very own community. Oh, there we are. Okay, we're good to go. We're good to go. Welcome, everyone, to the Vagina Dialogues. My name is Shirley Weir. I'm the founder of Menopause Chicks, and I'm the host of this community. And I just really want this free member event to be available to everyone. So I am recording it. A copy of the replay will be sent to everyone who registered, but it's also going to live inside the community so you can refer back to it, or I can refer you back to it at any point in time. And I also am really deliberately asking you to please share this with the other women that you love, especially women who are older. And we're going to get to that in the presentation. So I think, depending on any questions that you might have, and oh, by the way, I'm just opening up the comment section so I can see your questions. Depending on the number of questions that we have, we will be under an hour. I have a few slides. I'm going to run through them. And then if you have any questions throughout or as you're watching this as a replay, just post them in the comments below. When you post in the Facebook community, the only people who see your questions are other members. So when this is recorded and sent via email to those registrants, those people that signed up and wanted a copy in their inbox tomorrow, they do not see your name, and I will not use your name when I answer the question. So hopefully that covers off any privacy questions you might have. Let's get started. It's June 27th, and it's the Vagina Dialogues. And yeah, so we're going to cover a lot of conversation about vulva and vaginal health today. In particular, why it is important. I really always want to start with the why it's important to put our vulva and vaginal health at the top of the to-do list. And then we're going to talk about vaginal dryness, all of the ways that we can prevent it, all of the ways in which we can treat it, some of the things that are new in 2023. And then I'm going to touch upon a couple of other areas too, which include moisturizers versus lubricants, to make sure we're all aware of the key difference and why we need to use both. I want to talk about UTIs and incontinence, and then I want to get to your questions. So hopefully that sounds okay. Let me know if you're watching this, where you're watching from, and if you have any particular questions about your health that you want to make sure that I address here today. So let's get started. Vulva and vaginal health. Why is this important? For very first term that I'm going to throw out at you, but I do not use it very often, is genitourinary syndrome of menopause, or GSM. It's quite a new term. It was coined like maybe 5 or 6 years ago by a team of doctors at the North American Menopause Society. It used to be referred to as vulva and vaginal atrophy, but the truth is that when we talk about our pelvic health, our vulva health, and our vaginal health, it includes much more. And so genitourinary syndrome of menopause is an umbrella term that does include our vulva and vaginal health, but it also includes our bladder health, our urethra health, and our pelvic health. And so I have yet to meet a physician or a woman who, goes to her doctor's appointment and says, I think I'm showing signs of GSM. It's not quite worked its way into our vernacular in that way, but I want you to have all of the right words. So vulva and vaginal health is part of genitourinary syndrome of menopause. Now, why is vulva and vaginal health important? It's super important because we want to be able to sit comfortably, move comfortably, go to yoga, go dancing, do all of the things that we love comfortably for the next 4 to 5 decades. We want to feel confident and amazing. We want to be able to wear the jeans and the clothing that we want to. We want to be able to enjoy penetrative sex if we choose. We want to be able to avoid your UTIs or urinary tract infections, and we want to avoid incontinence and pelvic organ prolapse. There's a couple other reasons that I'm going to add to this wheel, and that is brain health. And I know you're probably sitting there thinking, brain health, like surely, like, how is my vulva connected to my brain? But if you think maybe about a mother or grandmother or someone older in your life, what is the very first thing that women do whenever anything, starts disrupting our quality of life, such as a UTI, urinary tract infection, a yeast infection, incontinence? We become afraid to go out shopping with our girlfriends because we're always thinking about where the next bathroom is. Okay. So when we experience issues with the vulva, vaginal health, urinary health, we stop moving. We stop exercising. We stop maybe being social. And those are two key things that contribute to positive brain health. So when we stop moving, it impacts our brain health. And you may or may not have made that connection earlier, but it is one of the dots that I want to connect, and why this topic is so critical in the area of women's health. I've got another red line here, and that is just the connection I want you to be aware of, either for your own health or for your mother, your grandmother's health, and that is the connection between UTIs and brain health. So women are more susceptible to UTIs. I'll talk about this in a few minutes, as we are in postmenopause, as we get older. And sometimes recurring UTIs can be silent. Now, I know there's no such thing as a silent infection, but the signs and symptoms can be silent, or maybe a better word is misleading. So brain confusion, almost like those exact same symptoms of what dementia might look like, can mean that someone has a UTI. And so if you are looking after or caring for an older woman or man in your life, and they're showing signs of dementia, and like the health team wants to take them down that track, by all means pursue that, but just make sure that you ask to have a UTI either checked or ruled out, because it's really important, and it's an experience that I had myself with my own mother. So that's one of the reasons why I include it. And then why do we want to avoid incontinence and prolapse? Well, oh my God, costly to the wallet, but also costly to quality of life. And finally, vaginal dryness, vulva dryness. Once we lose hyaluronic acid and estrogen in postmenopause, it doesn't get better with time. So it does require our attention. Over 80%, in fact, the new stats are that 84% of women will experience vulva and vaginal dryness within the first 6 years of postmenopause, and it does not get better with time. And unfortunately, this is one of the glaring gaps in women's health. Less than 4% of those women are currently receiving an easy, viable treatment. And there are easy, viable solutions, which I'm going to share with you today. So everything that we can all do to close this gap in women's health means that we stand a better chance of having a more healthier and more vibrant second half. So let's dive into vulva and vaginal dryness. What causes vulva and vaginal dryness? Well, first, a decline in hyaluronic acid. So hyaluronic acid is actually not really an acid, the way you and I probably think of that term, just to add another layer of confusion to this. But hyaluronic acid is a naturally occurring molecule. Our body makes it on its own. It contributes to the health of our eyes and our mouth and our joints, and our vaginas. And hyaluronic acid, and our skin, like skin everywhere, which vulva and vagina are skin. Hyaluronic acid starts to decline in our 30s and in our 40s, and then more dramatically postmenopause. Other things that can contribute to vulva and vaginal dryness include fluctuating hormones in perimenopause. The biggie, or probably the most that most of us are aware of, is the decline in estrogen post-menopause. So if you've already watched the Menopause Masterclass, the Menopause Chicks Masterclass, you know that estrogen is the hormone that goes for that steep decline post-menopause, and that affects our vulva and vaginal health. But postpartum, the birth control pill, anyone going through breast cancer treatment, other medications and health conditions can lead to vulva and vaginal dryness. And here's one that you may or may not have thought of before: overuse of panty liners or paper-based absorbent pads. They withdraw natural moisture from our skin, from the skin cells of the vulva and the vaginal wall. So those are the main key possible reasons for vulva and vaginal dryness. Now, as I said at the beginning, vulva and vaginal dryness can be prevented and treated. So that's what this slide is about. P is for prevention, T is for treatment. There is some overlap. Let me explain. One of the ways in which we can keep the vulva and vagina healthy when we're in perimenopause. So I don't want to set like expectations that if you're not having sex, you're doomed. It's not what I'm saying here. But sexual activity and orgasms does send energy to the pelvic floor, and that helps with natural lubrication and moisture production for a while. Probably for me, that was like 48, 49, 50. That was something that's like, it was really, really important for me to prevent vulva and vaginal dryness. And so sexual energy with or without a partner needs to be on the menu if it's comfortable for you. If it's uncomfortable for you to enjoy penetrative sex, that's already a sign that a treatment strategy is required. So I just want to make that really, really clear. Number two, which arguably could be number one on this list, is regular pelvic floor exercise. We all have a pelvic floor. It is a muscular area of our body that requires exercise. And I can't emphasize enough the need for you to consult with a pelvic floor physiotherapist so that you can get the exercises that are appropriate and customized for you and your situation. And this is a P and a T. So this is a prevention strategy and a treatment strategy. Everyone across the board needs to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist. Number three, moisturize with hyaluronic acid. So hyaluronic acid is approved for the treatment of vaginal dryness, but it can also be used as a prevention strategy, the same way we moisturize our face, our hands, our elbows, our feet, as a prevention strategy to dryness. Hyaluronic acid was shown in 2013 by a study by Dr. Petra Stute, who is a Swiss gynecologist. Her and her team studied it, and it is as effective as localized estrogen therapy. Number four on here is hormone therapy. And what I'm referring to is systemic hormone therapy. So that might be, progesterone that you take orally or estrogen that you are taking transdermally. But hormone therapy, particularly maybe in the last year of perimenopause or the first couple of years of postmenopause, might be a prevention and or treatment strategy. It might be enough hormones that the vaginal health is not being impacted. Having said that, we all know that estrogen goes for a steep decline after menopause. And so localized estrogen therapy, which is number 5 on this list, is a very commonly prescribed hormone therapy that there is no restrictions on. There is no age limit. There's no time limit. Even breast cancer survivors, breast cancer patients can use localized estrogen therapy. There are also other hormone therapies specifically designed for vaginal dryness, and I'm going to get into what's new in 2023 in just a couple minutes. But localized estrogen therapy and number 4 and 5, so lots of combinations here as well, like sexual activity plus pelvic floor physiotherapy, plus moisturizing with hyaluronic acid, plus taking hormone therapy, plus using localized estrogen therapy. I think I check all of these boxes myself. Yes, there is lots of overlap, and many, many members are finding the protocol that's right for them. If it has been a long time since menopause, so a long time since your body has produced that original level of hyaluronic acid, or the quality and quantity of estrogen when our cycles were regular, if it's been a long time, women will sometimes need extra. And there are extra therapies available. Now, red light therapy at home is FDA approved, and it is a treatment for restoring collagen back into the cells, the skin cells of the vaginal wall. And then there are laser treatments that are available. Some physicians have the equipment and the training to do that. It's not FDA or Health Canada approved. But as I like to remind all our members here, is that the only thing that's not on the menu is giving up. We're not allowed to give up. So there's always something else or another combination that we can try in order for you to feel amazing. So yes, I was alluding to, when I was talking about localized estrogen therapy, I thought I would introduce to you just some of the common brand names, because sometimes brands get worked into that conversation when we're in our physician's office. So estrogen therapy, the most common brand names are Vagifem, Imvexi, Estrace, Estring. These can be either suppositories or rings or gels that are inserted into the vagina. Now, I don't think I talked about this on the previous slide, but we just need to keep in mind that when therapies, hormone therapies for the vagina are prescribed, they are prescribed for internal application, inside. But I do not want you to forget this important, beautiful outside part of my vulva puppet here, the vulva. And so when you're using the hyaluronic acid moisturizer, it is for inside as well as outside. Make sure you're moisturizing from the tip of the clitoris or clitoris, how a tomato, all the way to the anus. No tomato, just clitoris to the anus. New in 2022 is a DHEA, which is also a hormone, or prasterone, also called prasterone. The brand name is Intrarosa. I have a video with Dr. Kelsey Mills, a gynecologist in Victoria, on my YouTube channel if you want to learn all about DHEA. And in 2023, and these, when I put the dates in here, these are when these products were approved for use in Canada. They've been approved for use in the United States for a number of years. Osphina is an oral treatment that is now in Canada for the treatment of vaginal dryness. And at first you might be like, oral treatment for vaginal dryness doesn't connect, but many women do like having an oral option because it helps them become more compliant. Perhaps they take other oral medications or other vitamins and supplements in the morning. And this way they don't forget. They don't go to bed and go to sleep and forget to use their therapy and put their vagina at the top of their to-do list. So all that said, the really good news is, if you think back to like the original statistics that I cited, where like over 80% of women experience vulva and vaginal dryness, but less than 4% currently have a solution, we're seeing more and more options and therapies and this menu that women need to be aware of so that they can choose, often with their healthcare professional, the journey that's right for them. Oh, when I was talking about red light therapy, this is a picture of the V-Fit or the V-Sculpt, which is from a company called Joylux. It's V-Fit in the United States. It's called V-Sculpt in Canada. And this is the one that helps to restore collagen back into the skin cells of the vaginal wall. This is just my plug for everybody to go see a pelvic floor physiotherapist. This is one of my colleagues, Sheila Zelmer, who's a pelvic floor physiotherapist and educator. She's in Newmarket, Ontario. And my first appointment with my own pelvic floor physiotherapist here in Port Moody, British Columbia, Lacey Forsyth, is on my YouTube channel as well. So you can go to youtube.com/menopause chicks. There's nothing X-rated about the video. I just really wanted everyone to see what my own first appointment looked like, so that you could hear the conversation and see, like, it's so educational and informational and can be life-changing. It really, really is. So go watch that if you're curious. Also, I highly recommend that you work with Kim Vopney, who is the Vagina coach. She has an amazing app. It's called the Buff Muff app. You can find it at vaginacoach.com. And Kim's instructional videos are like amazing, second to none, really. And there's also a community that's inside the app. So if you're working on prioritizing your pelvic health, if you're working on treating incontinence or pelvic organ prolapse, and you're already, working with a pelvic floor physiotherapist, but you want this incredible community and leadership from Kim, then go check that out. Okay, let's slide into, pun intended, moisturizers versus lubricants. I do get asked this question all the time. The answer is both. We want to moisturize as an investment in our vulva and vaginal health, and we want to use lubricants as a one-time use barrier to friction. So hyaluronic acid, as I said, is a naturally occurring molecule. It is super strong. Hyaluronic acid can carry 1,000 times its weight in moisture. So when you are using hyaluronic acid on the vulva and internally on the vaginal wall, you're actually giving back your body the moisture that it used to make on its own. And because hyaluronic acid is so strong, it is very effective at re-moisturizing these parts of our body. It's really, really important. This is a snippet from Dr. Petra Stute's research, 2013. The authors concluded that hyaluronic acid vaginal gel was equal to estradiol vaginal cream in women presenting with vaginal dryness. So they did this study to show that it's an effective treatment option. I'm confirming for you that because it's a non-prescription moisturizer product, you can use it as a prevention and a treatment strategy. And because it's non-prescription, you can use liberally and design the protocol that's right for you. So because we are all at different ages and stages of dryness, some of my members use it every other day. Some use it once a day, as the instructions from Health Canada say on the label. And then I have other members who start off by moisturizing 2 to 3 times a day, knowing that once that hyaluronic acid is that once our skin is getting used to that hyaluronic acid again, that they will likely be able to taper back from 3 times a day to once a day, or even every other day. So that's important to remember. This is from May 2021. Dr. Petra Stute is also on this panel. This is the International Society of Gynecologists. So in May 2021, Dr. Petra Stute presented her research, and the International Society of Gynecologists recommended to all of its members that moisturizing with hyaluronic acid be the first line treatment that is presented to women. Now, I don't know if all of that messaging has made it down to your doctor or mine, but here's the thing. And the North American Menopause Society says the same thing. So ideally, if we're moisturizing with hyaluronic acid first, then we are, we don't need the prescription medication necessarily as earlier. So it's not like it's a bad thing to go straight to estrogen. It's not a bad thing to do both. It's not a bad thing to do one or the other. I want you to have all of the options that are available to you on the menu, but these societies are recommending to their physician members that they raise the conversation and raise the level of awareness with their patients that moisturizing, not using a lubricant, because a lubricant is just for one-time use. Moisturizing as an investment in the skin health, the same way we moisturize our elbows, is what our doctors want to see as the number one, because I'll just like to explain always the why. Because vaginal dryness doesn't get better with time, these gynecologists and physicians, if they see someone who is maybe 15 or 20 years or 30 years away from her date of menopause, maybe 20 or 30 years without estrogen in the vagina, it is harder to course correct. It is easier to course correct if she has been moisturizing along the way. So another way of saying that is that it's possible to turn a raisin back into a grape, but it's easier if we can keep a grape a grape. And hopefully that makes sense to you. And if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, so so this is Feel Amazing. I don't know if you know the story or not, if everybody knows the story of the Feel Amazing Vulva and Vaginal Moisturizer, but for me, well, I'll go back. My sister reached menopause at age 36, and I was 26 at the time. That was the very first time I heard anything about vaginal dryness, but it was really indirect and very vague, and to be honest, quite scary. Her doctor said something like, you need to, invest in your hormone health. Otherwise, everything will sag and dry up. Those were the exact words that he used. You can read about that in my first book. Then I kind of forgot about it. But as I, mid 40s, as I'm doing the research and preparing to launch Menopause Chicks, I did a survey with early adopter members at the time. And I asked them what they wanted me, what topics they really wanted me to research and write about and get experts to talk about and so on. I totally assumed that everybody would want me to write about sleep and mood and all of the challenges that I was currently having with my health. And the answers came back to that survey, like overwhelmingly, women wanted a solution. They wanted more options for treating vaginal dryness. So I took that challenge to pharmacists here, a pharmacy team here in BC. And they compounded in their pharmacy, a hyaluronic acid moisturizer using Dr. Petrostute's research as a guide. And women in the Menopause Chicks community had been using that moisturizer since 2019 to rave reviews. But it was compounded. So it was like one at a time, and I can't do that forever. And so in 2022, the same formula, was approved by Health Canada, and it has an NPN number, which is a natural product number, and it's been rebranded as Feel Amazing. It's also been approved with a longer stability or shelf life for up to 2 years. So you can order that at moisturizeyourvagina.com. And if you have any questions, you can always just reach out to me directly. Right. We're still in the section on moisturizers versus lubricants. So that's everything on moisturizers. You want to invest as a moisturizer. You want to use it away from sexual activity. It's not to be, you can use it during sexual activity, but I don't recommend it because I don't want you to rub it all off. I want that hyaluronic acid to be absorbed optimally by the skin cells. So moisturize is part of your daily routine. In the morning, I shower, I moisturize, I get dressed. That's it for the day. Lubricants, on the other hand, are barriers to friction. And the World Health Organization does have a piece of literature. I have an article on menopausechicks.com that you can go and read. But they really want to make sure that we understand that we're to use a lubricant with a pH level that's as close to the natural pH of the vagina already. So 4.5 to 5.5. It, you know, obviously it is different for everyone, but that's the range. And what I've learned about pH is that it's not so much, you know, as long as you're not putting in, like using a lubricant that's a 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, because that makes it harder for the pH of the vagina to return to its natural state. So things that can disrupt the pH of our vagina would include bleeding, menstruation, sperm, any products that you might be using, like soaps. Please don't use soaps. The vagina is a self-cleaning oven. But if you were, that could disrupt the pH level of the vagina. And a healthy vagina will return to its natural pH very effectively and efficiently. But if we're using a product like on this scale here, that's maybe like a 7, I wouldn't recommend that. And some of the lubricants that you will see that have, by the way, this information is not required to be on the package of a lubricant. So that's why I'm sharing it here, because you just can't go to the store and turn the package around. They don't have to disclose what the pH or the osmolality is of their lubricant. But stay away from anything that is like minty flavor. Stay away from anything that is like has flavors and colors and all that stuff. Just go for a quality, clean, pH balanced, if they disclose that, like Good Clean Love, which is at purepharmacy.com/menopausechicks. It's what I use. It's at the top of this list under number 4. And if you have any other questions, let me know. I might not be able to answer them. I've even gone to the websites of various manufacturers of lubricants, and very few disclose these details. Maybe because they don't know them. Maybe because they don't care. I'm not sure. This is a snapshot I took in a local pharmacy, and I know it's confusing because there are products out there that say that they are both a moisturizer and a lubricant. And I say that can't be true, because if you're using a lubricant as a barrier to friction for sexual activity, it is not being absorbed by the skin cells of the vulva and the vaginal wall the way you need them to. So you need to moisturize with hyaluronic acid away from sexual activity, and then use a lubricant for pleasure and fun. Please. Okay, quick minute on incontinence. Some stats. $16 billion US is the projected size of the paper-based incontinence pad market by 2025. The majority of nursing home residents are using these paper-based incontinence pads. Incontinence pads are invented for a reason. They have a role. So don't get me wrong, not shaming anybody that has to use protection for a leaky bladder. But what I am saying is that if we can prevent this, if we can prevent being part of these statistics, it will just improve our quality of life and quality of our bank account, because more females need incontinence pads than men. A quick calculation, which I think is ultra conservative, is around $1,300 a year. If we are incontinent for 40 years, that adds up to $52,000. So go see a pelvic floor physiotherapist. Do whatever you can to prevent and or treat incontinence. UTIs. This has been some amazing education that I've received over the last 2 years. I'll be honest with you, when I started researching vulva and vaginal health, I was not thinking about the urethra. Now that I know what I know, I have to share it with you every single time when we do these Vagina Dialogues events. There is a great video an interview with Dr. Colleen McDermott, who is a urogynecologist, and an article at menopausechicks.com. Please go look it up. Look for this image. Share this article and video with all the women that you love, especially older women, your mother, your grandmother, your aunt, your sister, your older friends, because they might be suffering in silence. And they need to know that when we reach menopause and estrogen goes for that steep decline, the urethra, which I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's this rosebud here on my vulva puppet. The urethra gets shorter and smaller with less estrogen, with declining estrogen. And when that happens, it is more susceptible to infection. The most common type of infection is urinary tract infection, which needs to be treated by antibiotics. But when we have recurring UTIs, those antibiotics become less and less effective over time. So if you're having like 2 or 3 or 4 or more UTIs a year, and some women do, antibiotics are going to become less effective. So we need to moisturize with hyaluronic acid. We need to talk to our physicians about localized estrogen therapy that can be applied directly to the vagina and the urethra. And please look into what is known as packs. It's all explained in that article, but packs are the most concentrated part of the cranberry. And, you can't possibly get enough benefit from drinking cranberry juice that you can get versus taking just, it's an over-the-counter treatment. And the brand that I'm most familiar with is called Utiva. And look for packs. Also read up on D-Manos, talk to your doctor or your gynecologist about what would be best for you, and have that conversation when you're in prevention mode. You can have it when you're experiencing an infection and talking about treatment too, but I invite all of you to have the conversation while you're in prevention mode. We need to shift from, just crossing our fingers and hoping we're not, going to be one of the statistics for UTIs, versus doing everything that we can once we have this information and knowledge to prevent. Because UTIs, not only are they uncomfortable and disruptive to our life, but they represent like so many doctor visits a year. And if we can reduce that time off work, that trip to the doctor, that prescription, it is going to be better for our overall quality of life. So in summary, I want you to feel amazing. That's the summary. Enjoy sexual activity. If it's comfortable, it's really good for the pelvic floor. Go see a pelvic floor physiotherapist every year. Everyone with a pelvic floor, just like we go to the dentist because we have teeth, we need to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist because we have a pelvic floor. Moisturize with hyaluronic acid. It's preventative and approved for treatment. Sorry, I'm not getting my screen right there, but feel amazing. Available at moisturizervagina.com. Have an investigative conversation with your healthcare provider about what the potential benefits of hormone therapy might be for you and your vulva and vaginal and urethra health. Okay, so it's not my job to tell anyone to take hormone therapy. It's my job to present the information and education and then invite you to get curious and to have that investigative conversation about the potential benefits for both systemic hormone therapy as well as localized estrogen therapy. And then know that if you are at a place, an age, or a stage where you've tried a few things, you're not exactly achieving the quality of life, or you're not checking that feel amazing box yet, know that there are likely other protocols that we can investigate, and I am happy to work on that with you. This is the link to Feel Amazing. These are some other questions that members of the Menopause Chicks community often have. I usually jump right into questions. I don't see too many. I see somebody who has not received any help from her gynecologist involving hormones with this issue because of breast cancer diagnosis. Any comments? Yes. So a couple of things on that. I mean, make sure that you have access to health verified information, and I can provide you with those links to take to your doctor's appointment. And then know that if you are going through breast cancer treatment, or you've had a past breast cancer diagnosis, that it is safe to moisturize with hyaluronic acid. It's a naturally occurring molecule, and it is also safe to use localized hormone therapy in the vagina. Localized means in the vagina only. Safe for everyone to do that if you are not taking hormones systemically. But again, hormone therapy conversations are very individualized, and hopefully you have an experienced hormone therapy expert on your team who can walk you through the benefits versus the risks. And notice that I say that, benefits versus risk. Often it's quickly we jump into the what is the risk factor, but we need to know and understand that there's often a risk to not doing something as well. So I want you to have a conversation where somebody can lay out your personal benefits versus risks, and then you make the decision that's right for you. I do have a question now. How long realistically does it take to get the vulva area improved from moisturizing? So that answer is different for every single person. It obviously depends on our age and our stage. It depends on how long we have been without hyaluronic acid, which starts to decline in our 30s and in our 40s, and then more dramatically post-menopause. It also depends how long we've been without estrogen, which declines steeply around our date of menopause. So 12 months period free, again, different for everyone. So I'm sorry I don't have an exact answer for that, but I would like to add to your question by explaining that this is something that I don't think doctors or pharmacists explain universally to every single woman. So localized estrogen therapy, commonly prescribed for vulva, and not for vulva, just for vaginal dryness. They forget about the vulva. That's why we need a moisturizer. Localized estrogen therapy for the treatment of vaginal dryness can take 3 to 4 months to show results. And I don't think that that is explained well enough, because it's not a medication. It's not like you're sick and you go to the doctor and you get a medication to fix the sickness. It's not that. It's estrogen therapy, which means you're giving back the vagina what it used to benefit from, what used to be made in your own body, but when your cycles were regular. So it takes some time for those results to show. And what we've found in the Menopause Chicks community is that those women that are using localized estrogen therapy benefit when they add hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid, because of its moisturizing qualities, because it's that super strong molecule that can carry 1,000 times its weight in moisture, it can speed up the time frame for when you see obviously your optimal or desirable results. So hopefully that answered your question. Also, you have another question about any better panty liners to use over others. Yeah, I mean, I'm a personal fan favorite of NYX. That's what I wear. There's another company that's based here in Vancouver called Isle, and I know the owners, and their products are second to none. There's a lot on the market now. I would just stay away from paper-based if you can. If anybody wants me to stick around, I am happy to just answer the questions in the comments for the rest of the afternoon, if you like. And yeah, I just really want to thank you for tuning in. This is the first time that we've done the Vagina Dialogues right inside the Menopause Chicks community. I absolutely love sharing this information. I want you to know all of the options that are available on the menu so that you can choose the journey that's right for you and ultimately feel amazing. That is the goal. It is the exact opposite from all the other messaging that we often receive on a daily basis, which is suffer this and symptom that. And I just really try my best to explain the background of why this happens, what causes it, and then what all of your options are for preventing and treating. So I hope that this has been beneficial to you, and I will watch the comment section for the rest of the day. Have a good one, everybody.